I'm inside the first all-vegetarian Michelin star restaurant and I'm enjoying a 14-course meal here. Hi everyone and welcome to Sugar Spice Nice. My name is Shweta and in this video I'm taking you with me for a very elaborate 14-course meal. Now the good thing about this meal is that it is all vegetarian and served without any onion and garlic. So this is one of the newer restaurants in Mumbai called Avatara and it is one of the world's only vegetarian Michelin star restaurants. It started in Dubai and has now come to Mumbai. Avatara is located on Santa Cruz Link Road much before the hustle and bustle of Juhu, and I've heard so much about the way this place is made. It's supposedly really pretty. The vibe inside the restaurant is so soothing. It's not one of those restaurants where there's loud music playing. It's not too dim. It's bright in its own way. At the same time, it has a very calming feel. I think for me, the combination of white and blue is very inviting. I feel like at a time when everybody wants to go over the top with their decor, Avatara has kind of retained its subtlety. Peacock is the national bird of India, and when it spreads its feathers is when you can see the real avatar of the peacock. So that's what they're trying to signify, that this is a very different avatar of Indian cuisine. They've catered to various different Indian states and the ingredients used are very specialized. So a lot of things they acquire natively, but some of the things are imported from certain areas to achieve a certain kind of texture and flavor. We're starting with their mocktails, and here what I have is pineapple rasam. When I actually read the description of the drink, I was like, no way that is pineapple rasam, until I saw him making it. So the minute I took the drink closer to have a sip, I could actually smell the curry leaves, and it's also got that little spicy kind of aftertaste. Here what we have is called a holy basil smash. It's got orange juice, of course, holy basil cordial, and also a little bit of lime. I didn't expect to like this one more than that, but I think the flavor of this is very different, very unique. I don't think I've ever tried a combination of orange and holy basil together. We're starting with the first course of this 14-course feast that I'm about to indulge in, and this course is called Naivedyam. Naivedyam is the practice of offering food to a deity, to gods, before actually eating it, and this is a very deep-rooted Indian practice. Here we're offering this meal to the gods. So in this beautiful peacock-shaped bowl almost, we have the Naivedyam here, and this is actually made of a mixture of things. It's got makhan, butter and cream and mishri, and there's also panchamrit inside, but they've kind of altered the ingredients here to be able to present it this way. So I'm told that I'm supposed to just take this and have it in one go. And in Naivedyam, you also offer flowers. So on top, you'll see edible flowers as well. It's also a few strands of saffron. Honestly, it felt like a panchamrit flavored candy. But wow, this was different. It just disintegrated in the mouth like, I don't know. I can't explain that texture to you guys, but it's been a good start. So this is the next course and it's called Alpahar. The unique thing is that the menu, the dishes are actually named in Sanskrit, which is something I don't think I've ever seen in restaurants before. It definitely helps us to understand the dish better. So Alpahar is this course and this means snacks, and we have 3 dishes which are native to Maharashtra in this course. First one is Hecha. Hecha is this green chili coarse chutney of sorts which is made in probably every Maharashtrian home, and that is stuffed inside this okra. Okra is bhindi. Then we have aloo vadi, which is actually made with taro leaves. Instead of the regular way in which they make it, they've made it into a taco, and I think it's even stuffed inside with taro root. Then we have sol curry, which is from the coastal regions of Maharashtra. They tell me first I'm supposed to have the bhindi, then the aloo vadi, and then have the sol curry, because that's how they've planned the pairing. So let's have this first. So this is actually dehydrated okra. It is kind of feeling really dry to touch. I make this one bhindi sabzi at home, which is stuffed with a little bit of besan and a lot of coriander and green chili. It's kind of reminding me of that, but probably a 10 times enhanced version of it. Bhindi is crispy and the filling inside is so extremely flavorful. Wow. So now that I'm seeing this closer, I can definitely see the aloo vadi reference to it. This is also crispy. I can't really put a finger on the kind of filling inside, but it's got that very sharp, prominent flavor. And I think there's a little bit of yogurt on top, which is adding kind of like a little bit more feel to this dish. They told me that these two dishes are a little bit on the dry side, which is kind of true. And then you have soul curry. It's essentially made with coconut milk as well. And that flavor is not that strong. And in the center of the soul curry is this beautiful looking rose, which is, will not believe, made of green apple. Extremely juicy. I, for one, don't enjoy soul curry that much, but here the flavor, the texture is very different. You can actually see seasonings right here, and they add a very different feel to it. This course actually intends to balance and kind of include all of the possible flavors that there are. So there is a bit of sweetness, there's saltiness, there's pungency, there's sourness, and there's also a little bit of bitterness. I think all of these aspects of taste came across very well in this one course. Now we have the next course, and it's called Jano, which means roots. As the name suggests, these are root vegetables served in the form of chips along with two dips. So first one is pomegranate chutney, and this one is mashed chana. When I saw it, I thought it was hummus, and when he said mashed chana, I was like, okay, I wasn't that wrong. It's got a little bit of coriander something in the center. And starting with the beetroot, I think I'm going to have this with the chana mash. I like the beetroot chip, but what I love more is the chana mash dip. It's creamy, it's buttery, it's all things nice. This one is the tapioca chip, and this one I think I'm going to be trying with the pomegranate chutney. The pomegranate chutney is tarty goodness. If you're somebody who enjoys that sweet and sour flavor, you'll really love it. And this honestly is great by itself. Now here we have sweet potatoes. They tell me this is the orange sweet potato variety. This one is yam. This is probably the thinnest and the most delicate one of the lot. I think I love this one. This one is purple sweet potato. This one definitely needs a little bit of a dip. And this here is lotus root. This course literally satiates all of the crunchy cravings that I'm having at the moment. Root vegetables are known to help ground people, and that's exactly the description that they've put in the menu for this course as well. What I love is that their menu very clearly explains the dishes, simplifies them to understand. There's no excessive ultra fancy jargon attached to it. A very simplistic method of explanation. I think for me so far, if there was a course that I would like to repeat, it is this one. I particularly enjoy the crunchiness of the chips a lot. This is the fourth course. It's called shikhalu. Shikhalu means corn in Sanskrit, and the dish is actually sitting on a bed of corn. So if you can see this crispy canopy kind of texture, this is a ghevar. They tell me it's a savory ghevar, and on top, don't miss the edible flowers with the glitter and everything. It's looking so beautiful, a bit too pretty to eat. Inside is actually a grilled or a charred baby corn stuffing, and here we have a shorba. This is a tomato corn shorba, and it's that sweet and sour flavor. I'm told to take one bite of this and then a sip of this. The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm feeling like it's just too pretty to eat. The shimmer speck, the colors of the flowers, I don't want to bite into it, but I kind of have to. So you can actually see like small bits of baby corn. This does have that beautiful charred flavor. The ghevar part is so thin and so delicate. It's like the thinnest tart or the thinnest canopy you've ever had. I think because this dish is corn based, there's a very apparent sweetness with like every bite. But this one is also balanced with a little bit more sour flavor. You know, at places like this, you can't sit and think of what went inside in the ingredients. You just have to enjoy the texture and the flavor. I think for me, this dish is like nothing I've ever eaten before. We get there's a very familiar flavor inside. I couldn't put a finger to it. It is this kind of liquid sauce or jam. I don't know what is the right word for it, but that added such a good tanginess to the dish. Now we wait for the next course. I think just the presentation of this next course is like made me very excited because just look at the color of the dish that it's come in. Such a beautiful, vibrant red, and it kind of reminds me of a beautiful red Kanjivaram silk sari. Actually, this dish is supposed to give me a glimpse of a taste of southern India. This course is called Karuvil Vilas. Karuvil means bitter gourd, and that's exactly the crux of the dish. There is essentially a layer of Karela or bitter gourd mixed with ghee roast masala, and that is sitting at the bottom. These two crisps that you see are actually made from dosa batter, and in the middle is actually a mango sambar gelato. I'm waiting to taste that flavor because it's also got a little bit of curry leaf oil in the center. So this dish is actually a mix of cold and warm. The way to have it is break it and ensure that you're getting a little bit of everything. There is a slight bitterness from the Karela, of course, but the flavor of the ghee roast masala has kind of enveloped everything, and the mango sambar gelato. I definitely want to just have a bite of that. It's almost feeling like I have sambar from the fridge. It's that same lovely feel, and the crisps made of dosa are crunchy goodness. So you can see all the layers here, the ghee roast masala, the Karela, the dosa crisps, and the mango sambar gelato. Very, very interesting, very, very unique. We have a very interesting piece of cutlery for the next course, and this is called Sandita. Sandita means pickle in Sanskrit. There's a concept of warm salad in this. So we have broccoli which has been marinated and put in the tandoor, and it's got that little charred flavor. We also have carrot done in a similar way, and then there is a makhni gravy in the center. You're supposed to dip the veggies in that and enjoy it, and the makhni gravy is actually being held together by an air fried potato crisp. So I'm really looking forward to having that. I'm told that this is going to be a little bit heavy on spice. There are a few pieces of candied walnuts which can be enjoyed as well. Let's eat the veggies first. It's like I'm eating tikka with a makhani sauce. I think the beauty of this course was that the pickled veggies themselves were so delicious. Yes, definitely a bit spicy, but very yum. There's also a few bits of caramelized walnuts in case the thing is too spicy. And of course, you can finish the makhani sauce as well. This is the next course. It's called green jana, and this they tell me has a bit out of Kashmiri cuisine. Green jana is a Sanskrit term for turnip, which is shalgam. So there are literally 3 layers of turnip. The lowest one is like a bread, and the top one is a gillotti made from it. On top you can see this tuile, which is made of lotus stem, topped with some edible flowers and leaves. In the middle is pickled turnip, and the gravy that you see on the side is actually from rajma. So the way you're supposed to have it is break it, mix it well with the gravy, and enjoy. This is sweet. The inherent flavor in this is just sweetness. And there's softness from the kebab, crunchiness from the bread, and of course from the tuile. Very, very unique. I'm trying one with a big chunk of the pickled turnip. It's sour, but it's yum. This is the 8th course, I think. I've lost count of the number of courses I've had, which is a good sign, I think. And this is called as Fanasa, which means jackfruit. And that is exactly what is the crux of this dish. So this dish, I'm told, combines specialities from Northeast, 2 specialities. First one being the momo. So if you see, this is a momo, and inside it is pulled jackfruit along with a little bit of edamame. And I think on top is a little bit of a chili chutney of sorts, which symbolizes the momo chutney. And what they're pouring is called thukpa, which is another famous northeastern dish. And this is actually a soup made of noodles and rice and veggies. And here, to replace that bite from noodles in the soup, we actually have rice crisps. Black rice crisps are actually sitting on like a jackfruit planter. But first, I need to have the momo. There's also some edible flowers on top. You can actually see the momo. There's a little bit of edamame down. It's filled with jackfruit inside. It's actually quite big, so I had to break it apart. I think for me, it's the tanginess of this dish. So I'm told that the thukpa is actually made from sea buckthorn berries, which are a good mix of mostly sour and a hint of sweetness. And that's actually the flavor that I'm getting. The momo, on the other hand, is a little bit more fiber rich. That's the speciality of jackfruit, I guess. But I think I'm going to really enjoy the thukpa with the rice crisps. If you enjoy sour flavor, you're really going to enjoy this. The staff has very kindly replenished my drinks. I have something called as a Nanari Mojito. Now this is made from sarsaparilla. If you followed my channel for a while, you know that I really enjoy sarsaparilla. I've tried it in an Ayurvedic center, and here there's a little bit more variation to it. They've added a bit of chia seeds. It's also seeming fizzy. It definitely has a hint of that sarsaparilla flavor. And here we have vegan spiced chas or buttermilk, and you can see like the jeera powder and stuff on the side. Wow, this is honestly feeling like pani puri ka pani. It's that level of spices and that level of mint. And it's served cold. Very refreshing. Now we have the next course, and this is kind of like a palate cleanser. It's called Krishna Phal, and Krishna Phal means passion fruit, and that's exactly what we'll find in this. This is like a tart. This entire thing is made of passion fruit, strawberry chutney, this spiced guava water inside. So you're supposed to have this in one go. It's a palate cleanser, and it kind of feels like a little bit of a chaat burst maybe. This is like that passion fruit flavor and guava flavor merged together. It's just so nicely chilled. Perfect way to prepare for the upcoming main course kind of items. This is the next course. It's called Subhanjana, which means drumstick. This is a take on litti chokha. Litti is normally made from sattu, but here instead of a traditional litti, we have a sattu kachori, which has a bit of stuffing inside, and that stuffing is actually made of drumstick. It's a drumstick chokha, and of course there's mustard oil in it, and this curry that you see on top is a potato mustard curry. You're supposed to quickly break it, mix it together and enjoy it. It does have a hot aftertaste. One thing I have to say is the texture of the kachori. It's amazing. Extremely light, crispy and flaky in the right way. This is the next course, and this is kind of like a main course. It's called Vrihi. Vrihi means rice in Sanskrit, and you can see there is this orange colored rice, which is actually jasmine rice, but they tell me the flavor is inspired from tamra rasa, which is a popular Maharashtrian dish. Then they've poured this curry on the side, which is pandra rasa, and here it's made from parsnip. If you guys know what parsnip is called in Hindi, then let me know in the comments below, because I am told it's chakundar, but I'm not sure. So that is that white gravy, and on top is a fried spinach papad crisp of sort, and it's topped with a little bit of edible flowers, and there's also pomelo on the side. Underneath the papad actually is black lime pickle. So I'm told that this is a meal in itself. Rice, there's curry, there's pickle, and there's a little bit of salad, and of course papad. So the best way to have it is either have the papad separately on top or crush everything, mix it together. I'm going to have it separately to show you guys the black lime pickle. A little bit of papad and salad going together. With this dish, we are done with the main course, and now we wait for the sweet stuff. We're officially beginning with the sweet course, and this is the first of the desserts here. It's called Shira, which means kheer or pudding, and of course there's a very different take to it here. Here we have a coconut kheer sitting inside a crispy appam, and in the middle you'll see like a blob of mango amras. I'm supposed to eat this entire thing in one go. The sweetness of the kheer, the playful fruitiness from the amras, and the crunchiness of the appam. I think this is a dessert that plays on textures. Flavors are definitely there, but I feel like for me here the texture was the winner. And of course you can't miss the way it was presented. Doesn't this next course look really interesting? So this is Madhuram, which means sweet, and here we have something known as Bal Mithai, a very interesting way to actually serve this. So this inside is a variation of Bal Mithai. Bal Mithai is something that you find in the Kumaon district in Uttarakhand, and they've actually made a slightly lighter version of it, and they've given it with this chocolate rosette. Inside you'll actually see details of their pastry chef given, Kamlesh Singh Kathayar from the Kumaon region in Uttarakhand. And the way you're supposed to have it is have a bite of this and then alternate it with this. So this is Buransh Sharbat. Buransh is a flower native to Uttarakhand region, and it's a non-alcoholic rosé. This is just to balance out all of the sweetness. So we have to take a bite of this. This is almost feeling like a chocolate barfi or a chocolate peda, balancing it with this. This has that little natural bitterness, so it kills the sweetness instantly. This also has a hint of a caramel kind of flavor. This is the last course and it's called Parna or Pan. Pan and Indian food kind of go together. It's the best way to end a full-on Indian meal, and that is something that they've given us here as well. So this is actually a pan shot. It's a chocolate ball filled with pan inside, and you're just supposed to take one and pop it in the mouth. So that's what I'm doing now. I couldn't take my eyes off the way it was presented. It's supposed to be very delicate. It's like liquid mukhwas. So that felt like such a different meal. I'm gonna go and enjoy a little bit of it at home as well, because this is a bit of dessert thanks to the chef, which I can take home with me. This is actually the private dining section, and this needs to be booked. I think there's a minimum number of people, and also the charges are slightly more higher. One captivating part of this dining area is this visual behind. It's such a beautifully done artwork, and honestly, even their food felt like art. Every course you see presented in such a unique way, and I feel like there were some elements that were common throughout multiple courses, like those little edible flowers. I think those specks of shimmer. I saw them in multiple courses, but flavors in each, kind of ingredients used in each. I mean, you don't really assume that a place so fancy would end up using vegetables like bitter gourd or karela, turnip, bhindi, ladyfinger, but they did that so beautifully. Probably the shocker for me was that there was no paneer in the main course. It's not like vegetarians only go out and eat paneer. There's so much more to choose from. So I think all in all, dining here is not just about the food, it's a whole experience. Whether it is the taste, the aroma, or even the visuals. You end up sitting at any corner of the restaurant. The colors, the subtle white, the aqua blue, they're so soothing. It's not a very high intensity eating, but it's kind of like those slow, enjoyable dining experiences, which is something that I'm taking back with me from a meal here. And because a meal here is so special in every way, I think it would make for a perfect place to celebrate those milestone moments as well. I'm going to leave all of their details and stuff in the description box below, along with location and pricing. It's approximately 4,500 per person per meal, and this is like a 14-course degustation menu that you get to try. And at the end of the main course, you can choose to repeat any one course from the entire menu which you've probably enjoyed the most. And yes, reservation is recommended to get a good table. And if you found this video helpful, then don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends and family with whom you'd like to plan a visit here, and subscribe to my channel for more such vlogs. And that is really it from me. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!